2023. What was your assignment then?
A detective.
Were you working on January 24th of 2023?
I was not. I was called into work.
Okay, so who contacted you?
At the time, it was Detective Sergeant Jamali.
And is that the normal course in Duxbury when a larger incident or investigation occurs, that sometimes you'd be called in to work a scene if you're not on shift?
Yes.
And Detective Jamali, where did he tell you to go?
Initially was reported, I believe it was 42 South Summer Street in Duxbury.
Okay. And so do you recall if you went to that location?
I did.
When you arrived there, was the scene still active, meaning there were still kind of ambulances and everything on scene?
Yes.
Did you go into the house?
Not at that time, no.
Were you advised when you arrived on scene that one of the parties was being sent to the South Shore Hospital?
Yes.
And so as a result of that information, what did you do?
I was then tasked with going down to South Shore Hospital.
Now, when you went to South Shore Hospital, did you know the party that was going to be transported there?
Yes.
Who was the party that you were going to meet?
I was advised it was one of the homeowners, Lindsay Clancy.
And you later became aware that the home at 47 Summer Street was the home of Patrick and Lindsay Clancy, correct?
That's correct.
And again, you were also later made aware that they had the 3 children.
Correct.
Were you advised of where the 3 children were?
Yes.
And how about the husband? Were you advised of where Patrick Clancy was?
I was.
As far as the people transported to South Shore Hospital, you came to learn that only Lindsay Clancy was sent to that location, correct?
That's correct.
Did you expect somebody else to be arriving there?
Initially, before I had left the residence, it was a little bit of confusion. They thought that the husband was also being transported to South Shore.
And at some point, were you later advised that that ambulance was turned around and sent to Beth Israel in Plymouth?
Correct.
So when you were at the South Shore Hospital, did you have an opportunity to observe Lindsay Clancy?
I did.
In what condition was she when you observed her at South Shore Hospital?
She appeared sedated and unconscious with several lacerations to her arms and neck.
Okay. At South Shore Hospital, did you do anything to collect potential evidence that day?
I did.
And what did you do?
I gathered, I believe they had been removed from the hospital staff, clothing, pants, shirt, I believe it was a scarf, and wedding bands.
Okay. May I approach again?
You may.
I'm just going to show you 7
Thank you.
photographs if you could take a look at those. Are these 7 photographs familiar to you? Are the items depicted in these photographs familiar?
Yes.
I'd move to admit these as the next exhibits, please.
Any objection?
I have no objection to any of the photographs.
They may be admitted.
Is it 117 through 120?
It should be 114.7. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Reporter.
Now, sir, the items that you then collected, you said that they were provided to you. Who gave them to you?
It was one of the hospital staff.
Okay, and so in examining those, you would agree that those items had been cut off of the individual?
Correct.
And so after taking custody of those particular items, did other law enforcement arrive at South Shore Hospital?
Yes.
And who arrived?
Trooper Lawler from the Mass State Police and Officer Lepard from the Duxbury Police.
And again, you had been at the scene at 47 Summer Street, correct?
Correct.
And then you went to South Shore Hospital. Were other members of the Duxbury Department at the Summer Street address and at other locations during the time you were at the hospital?
Would believe so, but I'm not positive.
And were you aware that the state police had become involved in this case?
Yes.
And based on your experience as a Duxbury officer, do you sometimes work in tandem with the state police on certain types of investigations?
We do.
And so when Trooper Lawler arrived at the hospital, did you turn over these items to him?
I did.
Now, in the time that you were at the South Shore Hospital, did you have the opportunity to speak at all with Lindsay Clancy?
No.
In the time that you observed her, was she responsive?
But the bottom line is that you do agree that there was certainly blood on the interior and exterior clothing that she was wearing, right?
That's correct.
You'd also agree, sir, that there was blood in the area from the outside of the backyard directly underneath the window. Is that correct? Would you agree with that if you remember looking at it?
That is correct.
This way. The ground, the snow, and the leaves that were underneath, of course, there were a lot of people walking around, but you could see the blood
Correct.
directly underneath the window, right?
The back window.
You notice blood that was on the window sill itself on the second floor, one mark on that window ledge.
Yes.
You also noted blood that at some point had gone onto the two shingles that were in the area underneath that ledge, underneath that window, right?
Correct.
And off of the blood on the floor, on the ground with the EMT documents.
No objection.
All right, that may be admitted.
Exhibit 126.
Thank you. Now, the state police went and got a search warrant, right?
Correct.
And you were there when they were searching.
Correct.
You guys were helping out, obviously. It was a group effort to search the house for relevant or material evidence, right?
Correct.
Now, one of the things that was seized were pill bottles, is that right?
Correct.
You know why they were seized?
I do not.
Did you seize any pill bottles?
I do not.
Were you there when the state police seized the pill bottles?
I was.
Do you recall that the pill bottles were seized from, for example, in the kitchen? You opened up a cabinet and they were right on, a bunch of them lined up on a shelf.
I can't attest to that. I wasn't
Okay.
present for that.
Why don't I ask you this? Where did they get the pill bottles from?
You'd have to ask them. I wasn't there when they seized the bottles.
You weren't there when
I wasn't in that room. We were in multiple rooms at a time.
So I may stand corrected. I'm sorry. If I thought I asked you if you were there when the state police was seizing the bottles, and I thought you said you were.
I was in the house, correct.
In the house, but
Yes.
you weren't there when they were seizing anything.
Correct.
How about up in the bedroom? Did you go up in the bedroom?
I did.
Did you observe the blood on the floor?
I did.
You observed when you went in the bedroom, it was very cold, right?
Yes.
Obviously, because the window was open, right?
Correct.
And when you went into the bedroom,
What were your observations of her when you were at South Shore Hospital?
She seemed to be sedated, not speaking or anything on the hospital bed, just laying there.
And excuse me, when you were there, or during the time that you were there, did you ever have any conversation with her?
No.
Did she remain unresponsive during the time that you were there?
Yes.
And were you also there when somebody came in and took some photographs of her?
I do not recall.
Were medical staff tending to her during the time that you were with her?
Yes.
Where in the South Shore Hospital was this? The emergency department or someplace else?
Emergency department.
And shortly after you were there observing her, did she or did the doctors indicate she was going to be transported someplace else?
Yes.
Where was she going to go?
That she was going to be med-flighted to the Brigham in Boston.
And other than yourself or other law enforcement and medical staff, did anyone speak with her at the South Shore Hospital?
No.
And when when she was transported to the hospital in Boston, did you go along with the transport?
Yes.
Do you remember how she was transported?
It was a med-flight helicopter.
So you rode in the helicopter with her?
Yes.
And when you arrived at the Brigham in Boston, where did she go there?
She went to the emergency room.
Did you remain with her during that time period?
Correct.
And was there anyone else with you at the Brigham with her?
Officer Broderick.
And so the two of you what was your role?
Just to overwatch and stay with her.
At any point when you were with her at the Brigham, did she ever, was she ever awake or responsive?
No, not to my knowledge.
And how long were you at the Brigham with her?
About 15 to 16 hours.
Okay, so fair to say it was over the course of that night into the next morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Over the course of the night into the next morning, do you observe her medical status change?
There was some type of medical code during the nighttime. I'm not sure what it was.
Okay, but you were present in the room when that happened?
Yes, we were outside the room.
Outside.
Yep.
And the next morning, when your shift concluded, did somebody else from the Duxbury Police Department come and relieve you?
Yes.
During the time that you were there, did anyone besides medical staff or the law enforcement officers that you were with interact with the defendant?
No.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right. Mr. Reddington.
Morning.
Morning.
Afternoon. So, young man working for the town of Duxbury, and you were detailed to the home initially, correct?
No, sir.
You didn't go to the house at all?
No, sir.
Okay, you went directly to South Shore.
Correct.
And when you were at South Shore, your purpose was to, as you say, overwatch. Well, that basically is she was in custody at that point, right?
Correct.
So one of your obligations is to, I guess, guard the unconscious person and make sure to do what? Just to stand there?
Correct.
Okay. And you did in the South Shore Hospital, right?
Yes, sir.
And you made your observations of her, bandaged or whatever, laying in the bed, and she was not conscious, correct?
Correct.
And at some point, the decision was made medically that they were going to have her med-flighted to the Boston Hospital, Brigham and Women's, right?
Correct.
And that was by way of the helicopter.
Yes, sir.
And you had a helicopter ride into Boston with her, right?
Yes, sir.
You were overwatching her in the helicopter again, right?
Yes, sir.
She still had not gained consciousness at all.
Correct.
She wasn't talking to you or medical staff or anybody, right?
Correct.
She was already had the tubes and stuff in her mouth coming out, and she was bandaged up and wrapped up and basically laying down in the gurney in the helicopter, right?
Yes, sir.
So when she gets to Brigham and Women's Hospital, they bring her into the emergency room, right?
Yes.
And that room was loaded with equipment, boxes, wires, tubes, buzzing, beeps, lights, things of that nature, right?
Yes.
Life-saving equipment that was in there, right?
Yes.
Very small room, wasn't it?
Yes.
Kind of hard to maneuver.
There was enough space for the medical staff to maneuver.
All right. And how many police officers were overwatching the unconscious person while she was in the emergency room at Brigham and Women?
2.
That would be you and the other officer from Duxbury.
Yes, sir.
At what point did the state police officers arrive in the hospital?
I don't recall them coming to the hospital.
Did you ever see state police in the hospital?
Possibly at South Shore Hospital, but not in Boston.
So you're in Brigham and Women's, off of the helicopter into the emergency room for a day, is that correct?
Correct. 16 hours.
Did you go back there again after that day?
To South Shore Hospital?
No, Brigham and Women's Hospital.
No.
So you're limited to the time that you were there as to you and your brother officer were there in the room with her, correct?
Yes.
And a number of nurses and doctors, right?
Yes.
Fair to say it was chaos. It was like bedlam in that room, wasn't it?
Yes, very busy.
And you don't remember any other police officers? How about internal police officers from Brigham and Women's Hospital? Do you recall them being there?
There may have been security, but I do not recall.
So is it your testimony that you do not recall any other police being in that room or outside the room when you were there?
Correct.
Now, at some point, police were detailed, if you know, to sit outside the room to guard the door. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what were you guarding against?
Objection.
No, overall.
Anybody coming to visit?
Right, because nobody was allowed to visit, right?
Correct.
And then while you were there in the early morning hours, about 2:24 or something like that, there was, as you said to the jury, a code, right?
Yes.
And again, that kind of amped up the bedlam at that point, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
There were people running from all over, and you could hear on the microphone, code blue, with the room being identified, right?
Yes.
And that meant that she was dead or dying, right?
Yes.
She was chained to the hospital bed too, wasn't she?
I do not recall her being handcuffed.
You don't?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you recall when you left?
The Brigham, sir?
Yes.
The next morning around 10, from what I remember.
Okay. And you were relieved by who?
Officer Daly from the Duxbury Police Department and Officer Johnson from the Duxbury Police Department.
What do you do for a living?
I was an emergency physician. I'm currently not acting as an emergency physician.
Okay. What do you currently do?
I do disability review for the state of Rhode Island.
And so directing your attention back to January of 2023, were you an emergency room physician at that time?
Yes, I was.
And where did you work?
Beth Israel Deaconess Plymouth.
And could you briefly describe for the jurors your educational background and the training that you underwent to qualify to be an emergency room physician?
I did my undergraduate education at Trinity College. I did a one-year post-baccalaureate pre-medical program at Bryn Mawr College. I then got my medical degree from Brown University, and I did my residency in emergency medicine at UMass Memorial in Worcester.
And when you finished your education and training, did you work in emergency care after that point up until you changed positions?
I worked in emergency medicine from 1997 until May of 2025.
And directing your attention to January 24th, 2023, were you working in the evening hours that day?
I was.
And at some point in time, did you treat a child named Dawson Clancy?
Yes.
How did he arrive at the hospital?
He arrived by fire department ambulance.
And when he arrived, were you given a summary of his injuries by emergency personnel?
Yes.
What did you learn at that time?
I was told that he reportedly had been strangled and he was found without a pulse and not breathing.
And what observations did you make of Dawson yourself?
When he arrived, he had a breathing tube in. They had placed a device into the bone of his leg to give him intravenous fluids and medicines. CPR was in progress. He was not breathing on his own and he had no pulse and was not responding.
And did you observe any trauma to his body?
I believe there were some old appearing bruises on his legs and there was some ruptured blood vessels on his face.
And did you observe anything in the area of his neck?
Not that I can recall.
And what did you do to treat Dawson?
We continued CPR. We continued to give him IV fluids. We gave him doses of adrenaline to try and restart his heart. We confirmed that the breathing tube was in the right position. We eventually gave medicines to treat the presumed acid buildup in his blood. We gave him calcium to make sure that his heart would, if it started again, would beat effectively. And that's what we did.
And how did you go about making sure that the breathing apparatus was in place properly?
Basically 4 ways. We detected carbon dioxide in the air coming out of his lungs, which usually just comes from the lungs. I listened and could hear breath sounds. I looked with a video laryngoscope to confirm that the tube was between the vocal cords going into the lungs, and we did an x-ray.
And when you say you were hearing breath sounds, was that him breathing on his own or something else breathing for him?
That it was someone breathing for him, squeezing the bag attached to the breathing tube.
Okay. And so that the breath sounds you heard just confirmed that whoever was squeezing the bag valve mask, the air from that was going into the lungs and then carbon dioxide was coming out?
He was not breathing spontaneously.
Okay. And Are you, while all of this is happening, are you continuing to assess him and his condition?
Yes.
And what were your assessments?
So we would stop periodically every several minutes to very briefly check to see if he was breathing on his own or if he had a pulse. And he was not at any point. At one point, towards the end of the resuscitation, I used an ultrasound to determine if his heart was beating effectively, and there was no evidence of that.
Okay. And based on your training and experience, at some point in time, did you make a determination that your efforts weren't going to be successful?
I did, based on the time from when resuscitative efforts started in the field by the paramedics and the time that we put in, and the fact that despite the best resuscitative efforts we could, the fluids, the medicines, the CPR, breathing for him, it did not look like his heart would ever start again.
Approximately how long did you and your team work on Dawson?
I believe we worked on Dawson about 40 minutes in addition to what the paramedics had done previously.
At any point in time, did you try to use a defibrillator?
I did not.
And why is that?
He was unfortunately never in a heart rhythm that would have made defibrillation an effective treatment.
So your heart has to be in a certain condition for a defibrillator to even work?
Yes, there are two heart rhythms, basically equivalent of the heart, that if you use a defibrillator, you can restore a rhythm that makes the heart beat effectively. He was never in one of those rhythms.
And at some point in time, did you declare Dawson deceased?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall when that was?
I believe from my review of the records recently, it was at 1928.
In 1928, would that be 7:28 p.m.?
That's correct.
Thank you, doctor.
Mr. Reddington.
Good afternoon. You indicated that you observed what appeared to be older bruises to his legs, his lower
Yes.
legs, that like shin area? That
Yes.
area? And you also had an interosseous device, I think, is that what you said?
Yes, he did.
And that would require inserting a needle or something into the actual shin bone area?
Yes, into the tibia.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
All right. Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an emergency medicine doctor,
How long have you been doing that?
about 12 years.
Could you briefly describe for the jurors your educational and training background that qualifies you for that role?
Yeah, I went to Boston University for medical school, and then Kings County for residency training, and then Columbia for fellowship in global emergency medicine.
And where do you currently work?
Beth Israel in Plymouth.
And back in January of 2023, did you work there?
I did.
And specifically on January 24th, 2023, were you working that evening?
I was.
And while you were working that evening, did you treat a patient named Callan Clancy?
Yes, that was my patient.
And do you recall how he arrived at the hospital?
Yes, with the EMS, with CPR ongoing.
And is it typical that when EMS arrive with a patient, they give you kind of a summary or a rundown of the patient's condition?
It is.
And did they give you that rundown on Callan's condition?
They did. He, at the time, his heart had stopped and CPR was ongoing, and he was not breathing. He was receiving breaths via bag valve mask ventilation.
And what did you do in terms of treating Callan?
So as soon as he came in, basically we put in a breathing tube, and we were able to get an IV established. The first thing that we do is give a dose of epinephrine. And in this case, you can look directly at the heart with an ultrasound, and his heart started beating after we were able to give that dose. At that point, we continued compressions, continued giving him breaths through the breathing tube. And Plymouth Hospital does not have pediatrics or the ability to care for that level of pediatric patients. So we're on the phone with Boston Children's Hospital, making preparations basically to get him to the more definitive care.
And about how long into your care of Callan did he regain a heartbeat?
Probably from the time that he got to the ER, maybe like 10 minutes or so, I'm guessing.
At any point in time, did he regain the ability to breathe on his own while he was in your care?
No.
Did you do any examination or testing to determine Callan's brain function?
So At no point did he exhibit any brain function. I'm not like a neurologist, so we are not the definitive person, but in emergency medicine, there's a scale called the Glasgow Coma Scale, which is generally from 3 to 15. There's different variations for pediatrics, but he scored the lowest, which basically is you're in a coma or have no brain response during the entire time that he was in my care.
So on that scale, the 3 to 15, 15, would that be someone who's walking and talking and acting normally?
That's correct.
And a 3, is that someone with no brain function?
That is correct.
And you testified that Callan was at a 3 when you treated him?
At no time during his care did he have any brain function that was evident on my exam.
And at some point in time, was it decided to transfer his care to Boston Children's Hospital?
Yes, we were in contact with him basically immediately, and then he was flown by helicopter to Boston Children's Hospital, and the whole time the ICU doctors were on the phone reviewing the case and making recommendations.
And at any point in time, to your knowledge, from the time he entered the emergency department at Beth Israel Deaconess Plymouth until he arrived at Boston Children's Hospital, was he able to breathe on his own?
No.
Thank you, doctor.
All right, counsel?
I have no questions, thank you.